What's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. Good to be back this morning with you. Yesterday we had a little bit of stream problems. We had a power outage over here. I do apologize for that. Glad to be back online with you all. Whether you're joining us now for the replay or the live stream, I just want to say welcome. Glad that you are here. Glad you're able to stop by. We have markets are moving. Let's take a look and find out what's going on together. Give everyone just a couple of minutes to get in here. Huh. All right. Good morning. So it's been a couple of days. We took off Monday for the President's Day here in the US, and yesterday we had a little bit of technical issues, but we're back. Either which way, let's begin taking a look of what is going on here. Right now, we're focused on the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. This has been the strongest pair, followed up by the weakest. Yes, if you extend this little bit of resistance coming into it right now, I'm not sure that's going to stop her or not. I wouldn't be looking for it if I were holding. So now I almost want to kick myself here because I was watching this pair. I noticed that the Canadian dollar was definitely the strongest. We talked about that. I think it was in the weekly Forex forecast, how it was consolidating near the highs over here, and you could see what was happening. You could see that series of lower highs, and then finally today we had the breakout. Beautiful. It's a piece of almost a piece of work over here. I think over here where I would be looking to definitely take profits as you came into this resistance up here. This is price you see stopped into this. And there's definitely some stuff going on over here, but there's a lot of momentum. And more importantly, as you're going to see, the theme right now today is definitely that weak Japanese yen. Let's also take a look here at the pound Japanese yen. This is one that I was lucky enough to get involved in. And there was my line of break also. Let me remove that from the picture right now. Let's see. Why the question is why the Japanese yen strength today, weakness today. And let me start by saying, I don't know. I've been reading reports that Japan is kind of trying to hunker everyone down, trying to get everyone to work from home. They expect some escalation in virus outbreaks over there. I was just following the charts, and we did this all in the weekly Forex forecast, and I was noticing that these resistance here, I was looking for them to give way. We were seeing the higher lows coming up, and it just looked like pressure was building on all the Japanese yen pairs, and sometimes things go your way, right? What I do want to look at though is the Australian dollar US dollar though, because it looks to be in a pretty precarious situation. If you notice here, you have it's trading down near the lows, back up a bit, and it's better if I give you, here you go, you can see it on the 8-hour. You can see these lows over here. We're close to breaking down. If it loses these lows over here, I don't know, it could drop. Speaking of breakouts and drops, just be aware, as keep this in your mind right now. If we lose this, we could go much lower. Here's a breakout happening right now. We've been talking about this one for a while. Look what happened today. The US dollar broke out versus the Japanese yen. I missed this. I missed this completely. It's okay. I wish I didn't though. I really wanted it. Here's a weekly chart of going back to 2015, and you can see the 5-year trend line was broken today, and this breakout has been pretty explosive. So what's my plan now? Well, you all know my plan. Hopefully I get a chance to re-enter. I would like to be a part of this because you don't know where it's going to end. Um, so there are few times that I like to take breakouts. It seems that they've occurred recently though. And this would have been one of them. I really would have liked to have been involved. I just didn't see it breaking out of this resistance and this support area yesterday. And I had gotten involved in some other things. One of them being the breakout that's going on in gold right now, which I am long. I'm holding that since 1581.75. And if you look at, hold on, this is a better look. You could see that it ran into this morning into my trend line resistance up there, and that's exactly where it stopped. Now I'm still holding it, and I am holding it with the stop simply all the way down here at break even, and I will continue to do so because I'm looking for gold to see if it's going to push through this peak over here and go out to new highs. And if it doesn't, oh well, you know. Mad Mario, MHB, Alberto, Martin, Nima, Sherfu, Heath, Riyadh, Steve, Full House. What's going on, everyone? Glad to see you all. Really, really, really happy to see you all. Let's look at the Euro Canadian dollar. Let's look at the pound US dollar. And also, Mima, I'm with you, short the US dollar, Canadian dollar. Let's take a look at all of those together right now. Canadian dollar got a little bit of boost. It was making its move beforehand, but it got a little, I think because oil is bid, right? So let's just follow what's going on. We took out this resistance. It was holding as support. It broke the support, came down into this trend line resistance, this green line over here. Bounced into the resistance, the broken support, came back down again, tested the trend line, again tested the resistance, and now it looks like it's trying to break this trend line over here. I am looking as a first area all the way down here. Blair has pointed out this morning in the Telegram chat that we're at a 200-day moving average. I'm looking down here to see how price reacts, 0.13182. And then ultimately, I think, let me extend this one down a little bit. Well, we'll see. Let's see what happens if price first gets here. The dollar has been so strong though, and the dollar continues to be, it's trading at 99.56 today. I think most of these gains on the dollar are coming this morning from the yen. Don't forget, the yen is the second most heavily weighted instrument against the US dollar index, and the yen is getting toasted today. Euro Canadian dollar, I think, was brought up. Weird. Let me find it for y'all. All right. So I'm taking a fresh look at this. I have no idea what's going on. I'm going to start then on the daily. Oh, do I think 1.44 will come back into play? Well, let's go look at a weekly chart. There's a lot of momentum here, obviously. You can see we're coming right now trading against this support over here. I think where my mouse is right now at 0.04546. I could also see a very valid level of support. Let's draw that in. And do I think that this morning that the Canadian dollar is going to, the euro is going to reverse against it? It's not looking that way. Anything's possible, but I can't imagine standing in the way of this right now, at least. There's no, I don't know if it's going to come up back to 144 or not. I'm trying to get a better read on it, but it looks like it already came down and then tested the level. Let's draw that in. I can't say. I mean, obviously and clearly the momentum is right now towards. Did they change this? Yeah, styling. The momentum is with the Canadian dollar and it's against the euro right now. But you could see that after the breakout, price came back up and tested that. Let's look at the 4 hour. So you have the breakdown and price already came up and tested that broken support as resistance and it's been down. So will it eventually come up here and test 144? Well, probably eventually. Anytime soon. I wouldn't be playing for that right now, or not at all. That's about all I could say. Let's check out while we're checking out the euro, which is getting wrecked versus everything. Let's check out the Swiss franc, and I don't know if not the Swiss franc pushed it to see the euro is so weak versus everything, and it's not pushing to new lows here versus the Swiss franc. I would be watching this line over here at this resistance at 0.10629, right over there. And if we break above, I think that then there's a good chance we get to come up and see what happens. As far as picking bottoms and things like that, right? Generally don't like it, but what I'm seeing here is that the euro is getting wrecked versus basically everything, and the Swiss franc is having trouble here making new lows. I do think that you get above this resistance at 0.0629. You have a pretty good trade with a good risk to reward in your hands, and that's something that is worth taking. Hey everybody, Taw's gameplay wants everyone to go into his channel. Oh boy. Sheriff, are you short gold? Did you short gold up here at the resistance? I'm still holding my long, and um, look, it's a breakout. I played the breakout coming into the breakout as soon as the 4 hour made a higher high right over here. And we've broken out hard and fast. And although that looks like a good resistance to take profit into, I'm just hoping it gets away. I'm looking like at 1650 with a break even stop here if this holds to go all the way to 1650. And I'm just kind of managing my regular cross pairs. Let's take a look at this. This is Sherfu's chart right here. He's at the same, he's got the same trend line resistance that I have in my chart right over there. Counter trend trade. He nailed it, but listen, you are counter trend here. And so you're taking a second. You're definitely counter trend on a breakout. So even though you nailed the perfect spot for the entry, be careful. All right, Sherfu, be careful. You're counter trend in a strong trend. Gold just remains bid pretty much without stopping. All right, Heath, on the euro Swiss franc, I mean, obviously you're doing the right thing, looking to short bounces. But what if I was looking to short this? I think here this needs to be drawn in. Let's put the next resistance line in, the important one to have, and that's right over there at 0.06574. I don't see shorting it before we come in and test this resistance again. And obviously it would be much nicer if we came all the way up into here to get another short. It has come very hard, very fast. Could it keep going? 100%. It would be nice to see the euro obviously bounce a little bit, and any bounces into the euro may be the opportunity right now. And I shouldn't have this as a resistance line. Let me put a little bit of a trend line there. if you get above this line over there, I would be perhaps looking to take a bite out of a long side trade here. But I'm not taking that trade. I'm watching this trade to see what will happen when we come up there. I personally am not getting involved in that trade. All right. I want to look at a couple of different pairs. I want to look at here the pound Japanese yen. Um, and now that we broke out above this resistance here, assuming that we hold through the end of the day, then at that point that will become support. I think the next target price that I'm looking for is up here at 144.32, the resistance up in that area. And we'll see what happens. We got big data out of the UK. If this Japanese yen weakness persists and you get some good numbers out of there, you know, it's possible to break above there this week. That's the play I'm looking for. Seems like I'm swinging for the fences on a couple of different trades. Gold included one of them, the pound Japanese yen the other. And then let me check out the Australian dollar Japanese yen. So we got a little bit of work to do to get back into this resistance over here. That will be interesting closing this gap. This is the gap from January the 24th, where we saw the weekend coronavirus scare. And I think price is trying to take a look at closing that up now into this resistance over here. That's what I see happening. Of course, this is a fluid situation. Lots can change. All it takes is some type of escalation, seeing coronaviruses, actually, rising outside of China somewhere or inside China again, because the cases have been declining day over day. If all of a sudden we get a second wave, we could see risk off come on really quick again. You guys don't have any sound? MHB, you excellent pointing out what's going on here. We got 2 o'clock FOMC minutes. The only thing that I could imagine happening out of the FOMC would be perhaps the DXY finally taking opportunity to sell off a little bit, right? That's the risk. But I'm not taking FOMC meeting minutes today into any consideration. All right. So let me just take a quick run through of all the pairs now. And let's dive in a little bit. First of all, let's start with Bitcoin. All right, Bitcoin has come down into this and held this support, is now coming up and didn't get caught up anywhere. Consolidating over here. Look, bigger picture Bitcoin above 85. I have it at 84.91. You're just extremely bullish. I believe 65 is the low. And I would say as long as we're above 8,200, there's no reason or cause for concern. I don't think we're going to see below 8,200. I don't believe we're going to see below 8,200 again. That's my own personal belief. I think that as we're consolidating over here, there's a good chance we're going to break out here to new highs. That is what's in my gut. Let's see. Let's take a look at gold. I'm looking on, pointed out this pattern over here ahead of time, looking for the breakout. Got the breakout. Now I'm looking for new highs. I'm simply holding and I'm looking for much higher move on gold over here. US dollar, Japanese yen. She's broken out over here. I wish I was a part of this. I feel bad that I'm not. The only thing I could do now is wait it out and hope that I could find a way to get back into it. I'm obviously not going to chase it up here this far, but um, I really wanted to be a part of that breakout. Euro US dollar. It looks like it's coming into some area of interest over here. I have a support level down here and this trend line over here. This is why I'm thinking the euro Swiss franc could also bounce a little bit. Um, Everyone is pretty strongly bearish on the pair. Maybe not retail, but that's where institutional money is positioned. And I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised to see a bounce personally. I would be surprised not to see a bounce personally. People are now talking about much lower targets. They're talking about, I think, 106 and 104. I see 105.62 is a big area of interest. Um, I'll put down some support levels later. Let's see what happens here at this one that we're at right now. First, pound New Zealand dollar. I thought the pound was strong today, but the New Zealand dollar is definitely making gains on the pound. I don't really know how to read that, but it is what it is. I would have to say that this continues to look very bullish over here. There's no sign of this yet turning over. And not only that, we just continue making higher lows. So, this is now it's above this low over here. If we start making higher highs out of there, could be interesting. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. I'm looking for a bottom here. I'm looking for a breakout of this resistance over here. And if that happens, I believe a possible long-term bottom has been put in on the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. And that is something that I want to take. I'm reminding myself because I missed that US dollar, Japanese yen breakout. All right. Yeah. Okay. We started with the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. It is the strongest versus the weakest pair today. We'll get back into it. Euro, Canadian dollar. Again, we just looked at this. This is nose bleeding down over here. I'm trying to look for this is like more intraday trading right now. Listen, I think we already had a test of this broken support. It held as resistance, and now we're back down. I'm expecting and looking for a bounce now in the euro. Whether or not that's going to come remains to be seen. But if we do, we'll take it from there. This is not a pair that I would actively trade at all right now. I'm looking for a pair that looks ready to be actively traded. And it's probably going to come on yen pairs on any pullbacks. This is Australian dollar, Swiss franc, still holding this area of support over here. But the Australian dollar has a lot of pressure on it. A lot of pressure on it. You're kind of in no man's land right now if you're not in the trade between this support and this resistance. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. That Canadian dollar is just simply strong today. And you see oil also bid up today. I wonder if that had something to do with it also because Canadian dollar was strong before the positive CPI print came in. You could see oil came above this resistance over here, right? So I'm looking now for it to come back into the 54.41 to 54.74 area next. That should if that does happen, which look what's happening. The Australian dollar is weak. Take that aside. You have oil retracing and you have yen pairs retracing. So I'm wondering if the Australian dollar is going to follow suit or not. But either which way, I think we have some more room to go on both the yen weakness and this crude coming up. That should continue to provide a bid under the Canadian dollar. We have the euro, Swiss franc. Again, I'm looking for a little bit of a retrace In the euro, this is a better look at the euro Swiss franc because I have my trend line over here. This is something that I would look to lean into. Let me bring this down now. Let me into this resistance over here and this trend line resistance over here. That looks like a good place to lean into. I'll take away my past look over there. When I say past look, I mean I said if we take out this small resistance over here at 10.10629, that could be a possible good counter trend trade, and it still could be. But a safer signal is wait for a break of this trend line, right? This is a much safer signal to look at. I think it's better looking to lean in here short, and then if you break out to the upside, then maybe possibly take a look. Either way, I don't want to be involved there. That's messy. There's better opportunities. US dollar probably contributing also to the DXY is the gains on the Swiss franc. Swiss franc looks relatively low, weak. Euro, Australian dollar, you could see this support over here looking to hold. This looks interesting over here. The Australian dollar is in a very precarious place. We were looking at versus at the dollar. We're going to get to that in a second. So interesting. I would say that if the Australian dollar is able to hold this current resistance is at, and then go ahead and take out this support, there you could be short the euro Australian dollar. Once you clear this level down here, 1.6087. But if the euro does get a chance to pop over here and the Australian dollar is looking weak, then we could be actually on a retrace of the euro. We could come back up and test this area over here at 0.1624. Again, not a place that I want to be involved. This is definitely the nicest trade of the day. I also feel bad about missing this one. I missed the US dollar, Japanese yen. I also missed the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. Both of those were high on my radar. I talked about this one in the weekly Forex forecast and analysis, and I was really focused that the Canadian dollar was leading against the Japanese yen. You have all those higher lows, and then you had the resistance up here as well, and price broke out of that, and it broke out beautiful. We're up into this little bit of resistance over here. That's just a place to keep in mind. I think we're going to be taking a look up, whether it's this trend line or up here. I think we do break out. When it happens, if it's in this session, I don't know, but I do think that by tomorrow we've broken out up and are testing up in here. New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Listen, this is also similar to the Australian dollar. There's a lot of pressure on here, not as much as the Australian dollar, which is really looks like it's in jeopardy of breaking down. We're going to look at that in just a few more pairs, but both New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar not looking well at all. I was able to get involved in this one. I wish it was the Canadian dollar, but I like the breakout over here. It's a very similar situation. You see the lower highs. You see finally the breakout above that resistance, coming back now to test it. What I'm hoping for is that this broken resistance holds a support, a resumption upwards, and then a test into 144.32, especially with the big data coming out on Friday. So it would be nice to be taking a look up at this resistance going into that data, which is shaping up. That could very well be what is happening. Why the Australian dollar is weak, it's still much stronger than the yen. The yen is the weakest. Again, it looks like we're trying to come up and test this resistance up here, which is the breakdown of, this was the weekend going into the Friday when the coronavirus situation was developing. And now it looks like we're coming back in to test that resistance. And it looks like we're going to come back into and test this resistance up here. The euro New Zealand dollar. Let's see. Again, I just get that feeling that the euro is looking to pop up a little bit and retrace. And if it does, yeah. But I don't like it. I don't like the euro Australian dollar, and I don't like the euro New Zealand dollar. Both of them are just right now just playing weak currencies versus each other. Looks like the euro right now this morning, as we're opening here at the US equities, is trading negative on the day. And here, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, looks like she's also looking to break down, but this is not a place to be right now. You got to have an edge. And although the Canadian dollar has been strong, it's still two moderately weak currencies versus each other. This is what's dangerous down here. If we break down below here, I think we're going to bleed. So momentum traders might want to be focused over here. Is it possible we hold? It's possible. It's looking closer and closer, like it's going to break though. I don't like it. Has the pound turned? I think the pound was bid earlier today. I think the pound had some good news overnight. It had better than expected CPI readings, and now you're noting the pound is selling off. I'm not sure why that's happening. US dollar, Canadian dollar, dollar pretty strong today. Canadian dollar stronger. Looks like we're breaking down below this trend line support over here. I expect that's going to hold now as resistance. Blair noted we were coming down into the 200-day moving average, and so far it looks like we're bouncing off. The DXY right now is at 99.61. New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. Both the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar having their way so far with the yen today. Obviously, the Canadian dollar is leading, and the pound is coming off a little bit now. It was doing or looking much healthier earlier. I think what happens is we're coming up and we're looking to test this resistance down over here. You can notice the gap from the coronavirus is all the way up here. It's lagging right now. First, it has to get through this resistance. It's still got a lot of work to do. It looks like that's where it's heading. It looks like this Japanese yen weakness is going to persist. It looks like it's a move that's going to stick. What's happening right now? You could see even that weak euro is making some retrace versus the Japanese yen, right? So if and when the euro does get that retrace with a weak yen right now, it could really take back a look at 120.27, I would think, with some confidence. British pound, Canadian dollar. Looks like the closer we get into this resistance over here at 1.7087, perhaps the better chance at taking a long here. That is nice support. I think it's a support to lean into. I think overall, although right now we have Canadian dollar bid and we have oil bid, I don't know how much longer that's going to persist. And I think that perhaps taking a look at this support down here might be a good play, at least for myself. Pound showing weakness even versus the Australian dollar right now. Wow. Pound is just really brutal right now. So it's an interesting pattern developing over here. It looks like it could be something to keep watch on over there. Pound off everywhere, back into this area of support over here. That's a big support for the pound. Interesting that it's testing it this morning. I was hoping for some follow through, not happening. I don't know why the pound is weak, but definitely you could see that versus all pairs right now. Even the Australian dollar, the pound is weak. That says a lot. So the euro finally be able to retrace versus the pound and the Japanese yen. Two weakest pairs today then, pound and the Japanese yen. But the euro is getting smacked by the dollar still. Pound Swiss franc. This might be an area of support to actually lean into on another test. Anyone has any idea what's going on with the pound, I would really be interested to see. Want to know if it's something that's come to light as far as the trade negotiations, or if this is just the retrace to lean into. That would be helpful. New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. Swiss franc again is not showing any strength, and it's just kind of moderate. There's Tesla gapping up again over here to new highs. The indices are actually up again as well. Loving the fact that the world economy is falling apart. Apple warning, supply chains diminishing, and I guess they just are baiting the central banks to come in and add stimulus, because that's what happens over and over again. Look at this. Now, let me check out the daily time frame to see if we get just a better look over here. I don't like all those gaps are crazy. Now, what else could you say? You have liftoff. You want to look at the Australian dollar Swiss franc? I think that we were near, let me see the support there. Yeah, as long as this support holds over here, it looks pretty healthy, and it looks like it's trying to come out and test this resistance over here, possibly break. I think it'll have a harder time up towards these two, but as long as this support over here is intact, then I have a bullish bias on the Australian dollar Swiss franc, pretty hardcore. Break below here, and then no, that's off the table. So watch the Australian dollar US dollar, and let's see if that holds, because it's in a pretty precarious situation. Let's try, let me see the US dollar Swiss franc. Um, so this is so hard because like sometimes you put like or often maybe we all put like preconceived ideas into our trading, and by me doing that right now, I'm saying to myself, man, the dollar's at 99.60. It hasn't even retraced at all. It seems too much too soon, and if it does, what's going to happen here? But if I take away my bias, it looks like the US dollar is going to continue to make gains here versus the Swiss franc. So coming into resistance over here, you have to watch how price reacts. When you get like that, I think the best thing to do is just forget about everything and trade what is happening on the charts. For us, for me, that means as we get up over into here, into this area, is I think it's down a little bit. Trying to, oh, I got the closes over there. It's fuzzy on both sides over here. But as you come into this area, right, if price is rejected off, all right, then it's rejected by the resistance, and vice versa on the upside. Hey Nero, thanks for looking into that. I'm interested. I'm still holding my pound Japanese yen long, so I appreciate that analysis and insight. Do I think market makers are controlling the market? No, I don't think that. I I don't think that. I think the foreign exchange market is just way too big for anyone to control, especially when you're talking about the majors. Um, I I think what's happening is the reason we're seeing the DXY trading at these highs over here is because I think something's broken. And when I say something's broken, I mean, look what's going on. How many months now has the Fed been doing this overnight repo, which for the past 3 days has been oversubscribed, meaning the billions the Fed is providing overnight is not enough. There are more people who want more money, so something's broken. Um, Now I feel like uh, I feel like the Trump administration is going to do what they can over here at these levels now. This is where I feel like we get verbal intervention from the White House. So watch what happens with Treasury Secretary Mnuchin. Watch any tweets from Trump talking about the dollar. I think this is the area where they come in and they try to say something, because this is, look at it. This move could keep going. And that's why the US dollar, Swiss franc, you're seeing the US dollar break out versus that 5-year trend against the yen. You could see this continuing also versus the Swiss franc right now. You could see the Australian dollar, US dollar dump over here, right? But we're also at that support level. So it's possible it holds. It's very tricky. The clear thing in the markets for me right now is yen weakness. That's the thing to focus on, I think. Yeah, let me take a look at the euro. Are you talking about over here, Wilford? No, let me delete that. That shouldn't even be there. That was a look at the week, the previous week. That was 5 days of trading. That's all that bar was. Um, that's not something that I would take if that was throwing you off. If that's not what was throwing you off, let me know. I'll take a look at it. That blue channel, Wilford. Tipping point, what's going on? It is major resistance. The dollar's up against strong resistance everywhere, though. And I think the one to break out to watch for on the downside is the Australian dollar. Oh, that's a much better look there, Martine. It's pretty. So you can see the U.S. dollars at strong resistance everywhere. You could let's take a look at a couple. It broke out versus the yen. You could see it here at the strong resistance versus the Swiss franc. At the euro, it's at this support down here. We know the Australian dollar. And even let's look at the Canadian dollar. So the Canadian dollar right now is actually the only thing the Canadian dollar is doing, and I remain short here, is the Canadian dollar has come out, broken out of this trend line, dollar strength, come back and tested it right now. So the Canadian dollars are also at strong support, right? I thought yesterday when we had this big candle, this is pre-market New York, and then this strong retrace, I thought that was it. I thought that was going to be the top of the dollar, and I thought we were going to come down and retrace at least into this pocket of support, if not down here at 98. And instead, we're making new highs now. Yeah, I mean the U.S. dollar, Japanese. This is one that I wish I was in, one that I wanted, and simply because it's a 5-year trendline break. This thing could go much higher. That's the thing. The dollar is, well, or I've been looking for that retrace that's never coming, right? And that's poor trading on one part. I'll show you in 1 second. But how high could the dollar? I mean, we could be looking at 114, right? We also have 112, some decent resistance, but it looks like 114 is in the cards. Now, I was watching this bull flag for a long time on the breakout and retest. The retest, let me go down to a shorter time frame for you so you can see on the daily. When we broke out over here and it was a strong break, we came back down so hard it threw me off. This move right down here threw me off. Look how far down we came and hard and quick, and it threw me off. Even though I was looking for not only this bull flag to lead to a breakout that led to 99.50, right? That's what I called that whole time. This move threw me off, and therefore I didn't position as strongly. So this bid under the dollar is persisting. Look at the euro is having trouble. The Australian dollar, everything as Martin pointed out, the US dollar Swiss franc is at this really strong resistance. So with the yen, the yen lost it today though. Seems like a super important day. So who noted I don't know if it was MHB, I believe, noted that we had the FOMC meeting minutes later today. Is that going to be a catalyst one way or another? Hey, listen, I think today's a really important day on the dollar, a really important day on the US dollar, because we're either going to break through some really important support and resistance levels or they're going to hold. So I was actually going to say, I had in mind this was going to be a really quick session. But there's a lot fluid pieces going on right now that I'm interested in seeing playing out. That being said, I'm going to leave it to all you for just a moment, and I'll be right back. All right. So I'm going to give a summary in a second of what's going on and what I'm watching, and then hopefully you could get some input and feedback from you guys. Now, as far as expansion and contracting, look, markets always go from contraction to expansion, and the bigger the contraction, more often than not, the bigger the expansion. And you can take a look down here at the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, and you can see over here, look at this contraction. This is an expansion down, and now we're contracting, and we're contracting. So again, if we break out above this resistance over here, that's why I want to be involved in it. This could be a lasting move. From the bigger the base, the bigger the contraction, the bigger the breakout. Now you see that happen all day long everywhere. You have contraction, expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction, expansion, contract, right? That's how the market moves. So when you see the market expanding, the next thing that usually comes is contraction. Now, of a move like this, if this does hold, what normally happens is sometimes you get a V shape. Sometimes you get a V shape, right? You could probably see that on some yen pairs if we look at them. But what happens is normally you get a bounce and then another test of the low, and it starts like that. Now, DXY is at 99.64. Look at this. The high over here was 99.67. So we're getting very close right now. The US dollar, Japanese yen continues to be trading all the way up at 110.85. That breakout is continuing strong. What I'm seeing is two things in the market. I'm seeing definitely the yen weakness today, right? And I'm also seeing the dollar on the at this important critical point where this breakout could possibly really even just get out of control right now. Look at this. Sheriff, check that link. That's there we go. Australian dollar, Swiss franc. I can't tell what's going on here. You have second entry over here. I don't know where the first entry is. So I'm assuming the first was it the break of the, I don't know, 60-minute chart over here. Sheva, I'm not sure what's going on. I need a little bit of notations. Did you take over here, the break of this support over here at 0.06582 short? And are you looking to add, if we break down this support over here, it looks, so the Australian dollar, Swiss franc, first of all, let me pull up a chart of it just to get a better look at it. You're down on the 1 hour, bringing it up to the daily time frame over here. We got strong resistance up here and local support down here. We're right between it in no man's land. So is the Australian dollar, US dollar breaking down right now? Watch that right there. And listen, if you get the Australian dollar selling off down here, that Swiss franc trade could work out. It seems like you're in no man's land to me. Just be aware of that. What is everyone's thoughts here on the dollar? Is the dollar going to be subdued today, or is it going to continue this fiery breakout? The US dollar, Canadian dollar is also reversing all of its gains. Dollar is just on fire. That support continues to be a problem over there. It's that strong dollar and weak yen is to focus on. Normally, yes, Martine, 100%, but a breakout gets going. I guess you have to watch the low over here. It, it's very tough. Again, I don't like to play breakouts, breakdowns. This was the resistance to lean off of. I didn't do it, so now I'm stuck. I can't follow that down if it breaks down over there. So what is also interesting, I guess this is why we're seeing the strong dollar. I'm seeing that the people in Wuhan are told that they're going to be in quarantine until the middle of May. So is the rest of China going to go back to work in the meantime? But the yen is it remains weak through all that. Dominic, gold is extremely bullish. Also between the dollar and gold is outperforming the US dollar. And this is why when I talk about the system being broken, look at the dollar and look at gold, both trading at their highs, right? And then you're also pointing out here the indices are also at their highs, right? Because what everyone in the world is getting into gold, everyone in the world is putting their money into the US markets, and then you have the central banks also flooding the markets with liquidity. So, although eventually something's got to give, and eventually that something is going to be the US dollar, you know, the whole milkshake theory is before that happens, the dollar, you know, they have it, 104 is in the cards up here, you know. So think about that. And then Jesse, that's a great point because that brings up what's next. Trump is going to, at the first thing they're going to do is that verbal intervention, and they're going to start talking again about the things that they can do to control the dollar. They're going to talk about how they could intervene and what it would do. And all that does is it begins to, it shakes out the weak hands, right? But if the dollar is moving because something's broken in the system, and again, the last 3 days, the Fed repos have been overprescribed, then if that happens, even though the White House is first talking about what they can do and the fact that they can do it, you see the Bank of Japan do that all the time. Every time the yen is strengthening, they talk about that, they're getting ready and they could ease further. The verbal intervention comes in. So at what level does the White House actually step in and do something? I, I don't know what that is. Maybe it's I don't know what that is. But first will be the verbal intervention, and expect if the verbal intervention is started, probably things are going to get worse before they actually act. It is a presidential election year, so I would imagine he's going to do everything he can to get reelected. But as long as the dollar is not hurting the indices, then he doesn't really have to do anything. So it's a complicated situation, and that's why we always go back to the charts. Yeah, I wonder why the pound got dumped, and the pound is pretty weak versus everything today. I would say the weakest currency is the yen, followed by the pound. In, I mean, I'm involved here in a long on the pound Japanese yen. As long as this support holds over here, I feel really good about it and confident. And I'm looking for a push much higher, but I wish the pound was participating and showing some strength. Why is the yen so weak today? So that's a question. I mean, I don't know. I know we saw it, except for here. This is the euro Japanese yen, and you could see with the euro getting killed, it is also making some gains back versus the yen. So is that yen weakness because of the strength we've seen for the past 3 weeks? What I noticed happening on the charts was I noticed these lower highs being put in, and I noticed you have the horizontal resistance. I felt like price is trying to come in, test those, and actually break those. You could see the breakout occurred on the pound Japanese yen, and it also occurred on the Canadian dollar Japanese yen, which the Canadian dollar Japanese yen is the trade of the day. You can see the clean breakout over here. We talked about this one happening in the weekly Forex forecast, and I missed this one, and I missed the US dollar Japanese yen. I got some beautiful trades. I'm super long gold from 1581.75 and holding long the pound Japanese yen, long Australian dollar Japanese yen, and short US dollar Canadian dollar. All those trades are well into profit, looking good, but I wish I was involved in the Canadian dollar Japanese yen. I should have been. That's where my attention was. And I'm also concerned here right now about a possible breakdown on the Australian dollar, US dollar. I'm watching that situation closely. You could also see the reverse happening. You could see the higher lows, and now you can see this horizontalness. Um, that's the thing when you have breakouts like this, like the dollar, you don't want to keep chasing it. But you know what happens on the chart happens on the chart. Very strange. And I mean, I think this is going to be the big one on Friday, right? So I don't know. I mean, a lot of you all think that FOMC is going to be a big one today. The only thing I could see is the dollar selling off on it. Watch, maybe that it's a very tough situation to be in right now across the board, as the dollar is pushing some strong levels today. And I just had to exit my short US dollar Canadian dollar because it has also retraced its good data. I just got out of my entry because I expected price to come down into the support. It had really good positive CPI numbers out of it, and this dollar is just taking a hold of it. I had to get out of the trade. Unfortunately, I didn't get any profit out of that. I say unfortunately because I was into profit. WTI is still holding that breakout though. So Steve, let's check it out. And let's also check out where it is today with this dollar at some pretty important levels. Just like the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar is also in trouble at this level. I don't know why I have this support over here, right? Should it be up? That's where the support is. And she's in trouble of breaking down here as well. Well, I mean, this is a very good question, and I could only just give my opinion. And ultimately, I think it's going to be very good for the pound, but ultimately, I think it's very good for the UK and good for the pound. And ultimately, I think it hurts the euro because once a member state is able to leave the union like that, then it makes it easier for others to also leave in the future. So I think ultimately it's definitely better for the pound than for the euro. That being said, there's a tough year ahead of negotiations. Okay, that's a very interesting look and insight. I think the euro is falling more on, from what I understand, why the euro is falling is because of the slowdown in the Chinese economy is going to hurt the European Union the most. There was actually a good on Forex Live yesterday. There was a piece on. I don't know if I could, how easily I could find that because it was yesterday, and it talked about, I think, from Citi. There we go. So, reasons for the euro's decline. The less hard data momentum is turning negative. We'll see on Friday. Big data point. Downward revisions to Chinese and global growth in the face of the coronavirus outbreak to impact the eurozone, giving the supply linkages between Europe and China. I think that's a huge one. Foreign Japanese and European investors buying US bonds and FX on hedge. Because of the situation in China, everyone's going to the US. That's another big one. That's why we're seeing the indices at all-time highs, dollars at all-time highs. Of course, Paul Technic. So I think number 2 is the big one. Number 2 and 3 are the big one. And that's what I think is causing the move. Are you kidding? DXY is pumping further. So New Zealand dollar, US dollar, and New Zealand dollar, US dollar, and Australian dollar, US dollar are also trading down at these critical levels. I mean, to be honest, they look like they're going to break to me. Minus Martin. I think so. So, I mean, we're a long ways away, But this resistance up here at 144.32, if that's taken out also, Blair, you called it, DXY now at 99.65. If we break out above there, then I'm not sure what happens next on the pound Japanese yen. I get the feeling that this yen weakness might be more lasting more than just a day or two. Unbelievable. And everything is at some pretty important levels. Uh, so I'm interested to hear from all of you what you think is going to happen. Are we going to actually break all these important support and resistance levels, or are they going to hold here and the DXY is going to put in what looks like a near term double top? Yeah, Gabe, I think that's a good possibility. That's the catalyst. Um, so I was under the impression most of the coronavirus cases in Japan were from the cruise ship, but I do hear talk of now the Japanese government trying to get people to work from home. They're afraid of an expected outbreak that's going to occur. Uh, what was there? There was the talk of some taxi drivers that were involved in a wedding party that had some people that tested positive, and maybe they're afraid of who those taxi drivers were in contact with as well. I don't know if maybe they're just being a little bit cautious because of the upcoming Olympics and the possibility of trying to prevent an outbreak so that they can continue to hold those Olympics. Or I don't know if they're already talking about probably they're going to need to cancel the Olympics, and then that might take a hit. I don't know, but they seem very worried. Yes. Oh, okay, okay. That's how I feel. That's exactly how I feel. But it's just weird to me too. You're seeing the weak yen with a strong dollar, strong gold, right? So why is the yen weak? That part of the puzzle, I have no idea. I don't get it. And forget about the DXY. You have the S&P looking to put in a new high over here as well. Nasdaq, boom. Wow. I'm just watching the Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar versus the dollar closely because if they break down today, I mean, they could bleed. I'm surprised by the yen is so much as that we're seeing the gold bid, DXY bid, and pound weakness. But I'm on the other side of those trades. I'm actually short the yen. I missed this one, and I wish I didn't. But look, you see on the yen pairs, you see them making a series of lower highs, and they were coming up into that triangle pattern. You have the pound also broke out with the lower highs, then into the resistance. The Australian dollar, the excuse me, the US dollar definitely broke out of the 5-year trend line and is trading at its highs. I mean, that's insane. So I believe the yen move is actually going to be extended and last. Now the Australian dollar is lagging. It's lagging, and also is the New Zealand dollar lagging. But I feel like they're going to come in and test those resistances as well. Euro making some gains up, coming up into a strong resistance here against the yen. I think the yen moves last. I don't think it's I don't think this move is faded. Gold looking to push the highs of the day. DXY looking to take out that October high right now. Blair nailed it. Let's see if Trump is tweeting this morning about it. Nice, Heath. So many shorts have got absolutely toastedly crushed. Everything's at the make or break level. We've seen some big moves on the yen pairs, but hey, there's not any big moves so far on the U.S. dollar pairs. Day is young. Outside of I'm sorry, outside. Well, it's a yen pair, U.S. dollar, Japanese yen. Dollar, it's new high. Yen weakness getting a push now. Pound US dollar, pound Japanese yen flirting with the highs. I don't know. I don't see us standing still here until the FOMC. It's 10:30 in the morning Eastern time. I think there could be fireworks over the next half hour. I to the upside or downside. I'm on high alert. I mean, I agree too. I think Trump's going to send a tweet, but I'm looking around, and I see a couple of mentions that the dollar's at its highest level since 2017, but there really doesn't seem too much chatter about it. Just be aware to the upside or downside. I think that we're gonna let's zoom in here for a minute. This is a 15-minute chart. Dollar pushing 99.70. And there we have the tweet by Trump. He's more focused on the stock market, highest stock market in history by far. So I guess the strong dollar at this moment in time is not yet bothering him. It's like the battle lines are in. The euro's trying to lead the way. It's trying. Let's check it out. Again, that look was off. New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar both look very fragile. Pound Japanese yen is very squirrely these last 30 minutes or so. Let's take a look at the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar has been very very volatile today, coming into the New York session pretty strong, and then since, I mean, this looks like it could be possibly breaking down over here. Yeah, we're watching that support over here, but it looks like it could break down. Let me zoom out a little bit. The Canadian dollar definitely looks like a little bit technically better shape here than the Australian dollar. So careful leaning into that, and you also don't forget you have actually you have oil bid actually coming back testing the highs. As far as, yeah, I would definitely just encourage you to take a second look at that one. DM him. Sometimes he responds. So it was interesting to me is, and I'm not trying to call a top here in the dollar. If we get actually a reversal here in the dollar, well, I have no idea what's going to happen with the yen. Does the yen also then retrace? Not so much talking about the U.S. dollar, Japanese yen, so much as the other yen pairs. Jesse, you saw it trying to get it. It's trying very hard here. It looks like the pound versus all pairs. Leading versus the yen. The only thing not participating in today's market seems to be Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just um, basically nowhere for Bitcoin. Look at this. Consolidating the gains. Just do not interrupt his putt. Otherwise, he'll definitely not answer. Here's the thing, Jesse. Every time the euro has tried to make any type of bounce, the dollar has come in and crushed it. So right now, everyone is shell shocked, right? This could be the disbelief stage. If everyone says there's no way it could even come back. not with the he's focused here on the US equities. And by the way, just to throw it out there, just so we're all honest here, I think President Trump has done an amazing job as president. He's focused though on getting reelected. He's focused on US equities, and here they're at near all-time highs. He's pretty stoked about that. He doesn't need to be really worried about that. He actually did a victory lap earlier today. Probably not such a smart thing. Whenever he does that, usually the markets sell off. But he has been focused back on the DXY on the dollar when it was hurting the stock market. Back over here, White House was talking about dollar intervention, and they were very vocal about it, and they'll do it again if it threatens the equity markets. Right now, it's not threatening the equity markets. There's no need for them to get involved over there. And also to keep it political, I was very, very not happy to hear about his political pardons yesterday. You know, he's talking about draining the swamp, cleaning up corruption, and then some people who got arrested and prosecuted for violating those type of things, he then pardoned. So that was not such a cool move, in my opinion. All right, was that the push? And does it get smacked down now? We're gonna find out. All right, everyone. I think this is a good place to wrap up today's session. I have to say, after being away two days in a row, it was great to be back. I feel like it'll take a day or two to get back into our normal flow. Lot to be aware of today. The dollar, obviously, everyone's aware of everything that's going on. We have the FOMC meeting minutes today. Let's see if that's a trigger one way or the other. Listen, I hope to see you all again tomorrow. Have a great day, and really, really happy to be back with y'all.